holiday office party season is soon upon us.
In terms of corporate culture, it's so important.
Why office events have apparently become a turnoff. 35% of employees can't stand office gatherings.
Do you want to go to an office event at 5:01 and have bright fluorescent lighting? Definitely not.
Inviting people to be part of the conversation has got to be a good thing.
Is the office party as we know it over?
Anyone can buy a bagel.
Welcome to the Friday Night Office Party, coming to you live from the bar. Let's see how the event is shaping up. First thing we notice is that the quarterback, our chief executive, hasn't arrived yet. That's not a great start, people. Well, let's see what we've got lined up for food. Wait a minute. I think we may have a flag on the play. Let's look at the replay. It's pizza! Well, that is just shocking, folks. You just don't expect to see that from a team of this quality. Anyway, let's go to the bench and see who's getting warmed up. Goodness knows they need a replacement here. Wow, the chemistry on this team is weak. People are just standing apart. It's like they forgot all the plays.
Does anyone even go to those things anymore?
Wait a second. 1, 2. Hey, there's actually only like 6 people here.
I rest my case.
Hi, this is Jill Wiltfong, Chief Marketing Officer for Korn Ferry, and this is Briefings, our deep dive into leadership. Today we're looking at why office events have apparently become a turnoff for many workers. Holiday parties and group lunches out used to be the bedrock of a strong company culture, but a recent poll out of the UK found that 35% of employees can't stand office gatherings, claiming that they're boring or a waste of time. But if they're becoming snooze fests, that's actually a serious blow to the office culture leaders are trying to rebuild in this post-pandemic world. And culture matters to the bottom line. 2/3 of top executives, in fact, attribute 30% of their firm's market value to culture. It begs the question, is the office party as we know it over? Here today to speak with me on this intriguing topic is Susan McTavish Best. She's the founder of a wildly successful salon business called Post Talk, as well as the salon host, and she has twice been named one of America's top 100 party hosts. Hi, Susan. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Jill. Thank you for having me.
Susan, talk to me a little bit more about office parties and where you think we're going wrong. There are Bagel Mondays and Taco Tuesdays and ping pong tables. Is it all wrong?
Well, that just doesn't sound very interesting. I mean, maybe that's interesting for someone who just graduated from college, but no, actually, I don't think Gen Z wants to go do that. I don't think that folks who are organizing the events perhaps are using enough creativity when they're trying to gather their employees. The way I think of hosting events, and we call them salons, it's quite specific what we do at our organization, is that we look at them as being a mini festival for the senses. Start at 7 p.m., go on for a few hours, but it's going to smell good. The lighting's going to be great. There's going to be live music. There's going to be a really interesting conversation, and people are going to dress up. It's fun.
Yeah, it is that probably the same thing you do with clients, right? Is you want to provide this money can't buy experience, and probably anybody can buy a bagel.
Anyone can buy a bagel, but not anyone can go reach out, figure out who the fantastic violinist is. I'm using this as an example because we did this 2 weeks ago in New York, where I went and found a fellow who had a Stradivarius, and his Stradivarius had been stolen out of his hands. And so he performed on his Stradivarius and told the story. That's something money really can't buy. It took creativity on my part to go find that person.
Understand that there are tiers in the office party hierarchy. There are those above you. Let's call them Tier 1. There are your equals, Tier 2. There are those below you, Tier 3. Understanding your place in this hierarchy is key, but you should know this going in. If you don't, you're hopeless and none of this matters.
Susan, that's a comedic bit on office parties from Vanity Fair. Has social interaction today just become too awkward?
I think the way events are being set up is too awkward. I don't think they need to be too awkward. Look, when we host a salon, I don't think it's awkward at all. We set it up so that it's not awkward. First of all, when you walk in the door, it's, as I said earlier, a festival for the senses. It's going to smell good. The lighting is great. Look, do you want to go to an office event at 5:01 and have bright fluorescent lighting? Definitely not. No one looks good. We all look exhausted.
Yeah, you certainly run some wonderful salons for workers. I think you even had Sean Penn, did I hear correctly, come to one of them recently?
Yes, we did. And you know what the best thing was? He looked around and said, this is what I'm doing from now on. When I have people over to my home, I'm just not having them like for drinks or a dinner party, but I have a topic. And it helps actually for people who get a little nervous to go to an event if there's something to talk about specifically, or if there's sort of a theme. And I don't mean like a 1920s theme, but if you're having an office event and maybe one of your clients has an amazing story or has just published a book, your CEO could interview that person about the book. That was the takeaway with Sean Penn, was that there was sort of a reason to gather people.
Yeah, besides from having Sean Penn, which I think we all could probably benefit from, and having this topic, right, this theme, what are some other things that companies can learn from what you're doing?
I really like having someone to speak to or to learn from. Mm-hmm. So perhaps it's a famous chef or a local famous chef. Someone in your neighborhood has a new book that's out. Someone is an artist and a musician. It might be one of your employees. It might be one of your clients. It might be one of your partners. Get them to come in and perform. Support your community. And then you're building your community. And really, you're building a community of influence around your business. That means your business is going to do better. Your employees are going to be more loyal to the business.
I think there's a lot of inspiration here. Susan, based on the events certainly that I've been to, I think we've picked up some good tips here today. Where can people go to get more information on how to create an inspired gathering?
Sure. Well, our company, Post Hoc Salons, is at posthoc.com. And then for others, because we can't host everyone's event, obviously, but we really want to encourage people to be building community around their own organizations, is a educational resource we launched during COVID called thesalonhost.com.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Rupak Bhattacharya, and welcome to The Break. Here's a quick look at what else is happening in the world of business from Korn Ferry's This Week in Leadership.
If you are manufacturing in Mexico, you can get that product to the U.S. consumer in under 24 hours in a truck. If you are manufacturing in Asia, it's going to take you 2 to 6 weeks.
In a trend known as nearshoring, more companies have started moving production pipelines closer to key markets for greater stability. Experts say the pandemic exposed supply chain vulnerabilities such that 9 in 10 executives say they're exploring or have already explored moving operations closer to home.
Talking on the phone can be terrifying. You'll put in extra effort just to find a way around it.
Recent surveys show that fewer people are making phone calls. A reported 4 out of 5 millennials get anxiety just thinking about making a call, with 21% likely to avoid calls from work altogether.
Getting Britain back to work. But is it a case of can't work or won't work?
In a slightly surprising finding, a new study from the Policy Institute at King's College London shows that 73% of Britons claim that work is, quote, very or rather important in their life. That's the lowest figure among 24 nations. For more insights on business and leadership, head to kornferry.com/insights. Now back to Jill and our episode on, is the office party over?
So we're back and we're talking about how to make office gatherings more engaging for employees. I'm now joined by Mark Richardson, a Korn Ferry senior client partner in our organizational strategy and culture transformation practice. He also happens to be an Olympic silver medalist. Mark, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk a little bit about office events and corporate culture. Why are the two linked?
In terms of corporate culture, it's so important to create a sense of meaning, harmony, and connection. So if you can create the conditions whereby oxytocin is flying around the organization, so people feel this deep sense of affinity, identity, and belonging, then it's much more likely that your culture is going to be high functioning and it's going to help you to deliver on your strategy.
I've been doing diversity work for a really long time. And a few years ago, there was a new term that was actually introduced into the diversity arena. And it was this term called belonging. If you want people to thrive, create the conditions for belonging.
That's Workday's Chief Diversity Officer, Karen Taylor, speaking to the need for companies to create a sense of belonging. That survey out of the UK that I referenced earlier had 1 in 5 workers, Mark, claiming that social events were not inclusive of people from underrepresented groups. What can leaders do to make sure that everyone comes away from work events feeling, as Karen said, like they belong?
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge. I think that the original kind of construct of workplace events links to after office hours, perhaps linked to a drinking culture as well. And just how relevant is that? Who was that designed for? So how can you make them feel inclusive? Co-create them. Give voice to your people. Understand what's going to be true and necessary for them to feel a sense of connection, for them to feel as if they can be part of something. For some cultures, drinking isn't allowed, it's prohibited. So how do you take all of that construct and all of that richness into consideration to shape something that's truly going to be inclusive, that's built with inclusion in mind and designed from the outset? I think that's the answer.
Many workers, of course, have children or elders to tend to, so attending to an office event outside of work hours might lead to childcare, elder care expenses, and stress. Is there something, Mark, that companies can do to help on that front?
Yeah, well, you've got to take it into consideration. I think awareness is curative. So, of course, those additional responsibilities are paramount. And does it have to be outside of the working hours? So how do you meld the two? So, of course, what you don't want to do is create other pressures and tensions in terms of workload. But I think giving voice to that, helping people to understand, well, here are some of the considerations, help us to make skillful choices in this way, and inviting people to be part of the conversation has got to be a good thing. That in itself is co-creating and helps to spark engagement.
I love this notion of consideration, right? Inclusion, consideration, empathy, all really, really important, I think, as we try to surround people, connect with them, and celebrate with them as well. So you've certainly given me a lot to consider when planning my next work social. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
The executive producer of Briefings is Jonathan Dahl. Today's episode was produced by Rupak Bhattacharya, Chelsea Starks, Nadira Putri, and Teresa Allen, and edited by Jaron Henry McRae. It contains reporting by Russell Perlman, Ariane Cohen, and Peter Loria. Our video segment contains original artwork by Fraser Milton, Haley Kennel, Jonathan Pink, and Sasha Kutschik. Don't forget to read our magazine, available at newsstands and at kornferry.com/briefings. That's it for Korn Ferry's Briefings. I'm Jill Wiltfong. We'll see you next time.